This is perhaps one of the most common questions I get from parents and one of the most common misconceptions. My child gets straight A's. They're at the top of their class. They take super hard honors courses and APs. Why does their SAT score suck? So this is what we're going to talk about in this video. So the main reason why there's a disconnect here, the SAT simply doesn't test what your child learns in school. Now, school teaches the basic building blocks of what's tested on the SAT. For example, there's algebra on the SAT. You learn algebra in middle school and high school, but it's still not an apples to apples comparison. That's why even straight A students, perfectionists struggle when they approach the SAT like a school exam. So let's drill down. Let's look at the SAT reading and writing section. In high school English class, interpretation is rewarded. Let's take a novel like The Great Gatsby. If your child were to write a paper on The Great Gatsby and strictly stuck to what happened in The Great Gatsby, they wouldn't get a really good grade. They'd probably get a D or an F. Teacher wants to see interpretation in terms of the themes like rich versus poor and social class and moral and society boundaries. But on the SAT is a subjective test. The SAT doesn't care about your interpretation. It only cares about the facts. So let's take an example. Here's a passage. Let's take this passage. It's about a Confederate soldier fighting in the Civil War. Quote, "As I sit by the campfire, I think of the fields back home and the family I left behind. The days are long and the nights are cold, yet I remain with my regiment as we wait for orders. I do not know when this conflict will end, but I am certain my duty is to stand by my fellow soldiers in these uncertain times." So the question is, in the passage, what is the soldier's primary concern? Here's the interpretation trap. When students think about the Civil War and a Confederate soldier, they think the cause is fighting for the Confederate cause, which is to preserve slavery. But does it say that in the passage? Not at all. So that's an interpretation trap. What does it say in this small passage? It's really about the soldier missing home and all the hardships during the war. Do we see anything about preserving slavery? No. So that in a nutshell, that's the microcosm of why students kind of have a hard time on the SAT reading and writing section. Now, is interpretation bad? No. I mean, it's essential for high school and it's also essential for college and grad school when writing papers. But on the SAT is a subjective test. They don't care about anybody's interpretation. They care about the right answer. Now let's talk about SAT math. The SAT math doesn't have any upper level math in it. There's no calculus, there's no pre-calc, there's not even any upper level trig. The highest math tested on the SAT is Algebra 2. And within that, there's very basic trig, SOHCAHTOA. So very basic geometry, algebra, number properties, arithmetic. So why is it so tricky? It's less about the actual math. The actual math is easy. It's more about how the SAT asks the questions. So a lot of students know the math, but when they read the question, they don't know what the question's asking. So let's take a look at an example. So here's a math example. Given Q equals RPS, Q is the total cost, R is the number of rooms cleaned, P is the price per room, and S is the number of staff members. What is P in terms of Q, R, and S? So upon first glance, this looks really confusing. Look at all these variables. Q, R, P, S. What is P in terms of Q, R, and S? We don't need to look at the variables. All we need to concern ourselves with is the equation Q equals RPS, and then decoding this confusing question, what is P in terms of Q, R, and S, which simply means solve for P, get P by itself in the equation. So if Q equals R times P times S, well, first step is let's put the equation down. Second step is let's divide both sides by RS. If we divide both sides by RS, we get P by itself, and then P equals Q over RS. So this is a simple example on how the SAT, it's not the math that's hard. This is basic algebra. The thing that's hard is decoding the question and getting through all of this, these weeds here and basically drilling down and saying, okay, what is the SAT asking me? So this is basically just 2 examples. We showed a math and a reading and writing in terms of why the SAT is not like high school. We're going to do drop a new SAT tutorial on our YouTube channel every week, Langley Prep SAT Coaching. Every Wednesday, we're going to come out with one. So be sure to hit subscribe, tap the bell, drop a comment, leave a like. Definitely want to hear your comments. Help us grow the channel and reach more students. And parents, if you're interested in SAT prep, specific one-on-one tutoring, please feel free to book a free SAT strategy session at langleyprep.com. Thanks for watching the video and see you soon.